Welcome, everybody, to the Soul Professional podcast. This is a global conversation series where curiosity leads, consciousness expands, and science meets soul. I'm Camille Miller, joined by my co hosts, Adam Guzman Poole and Adam Dickinson, and together we explore the questions humanity is finally ready to ask, bridging worlds, perspectives, and ways of knowing. We're not here to provide answers, we're here to open portals to bigger conversations. Today's conversation is with Cameron Scott. And Cameron is the founder and CEO of EQ Intelligence AI, an emotional intelligence operating system designed to humanize how artificial intelligence interacts with business and leadership. His work lives at the intersection of technology, consciousness, and practical execution. As we talk to Cameron tonight, we will also learn about his breath work, his spiritual side, and how he has dovetailed other areas of his life into who he is today. Cameron, welcome to our show.
Well, thank you all. Thank you so much for having me. It is an honor to be here. I'm stoked.
So, I always love to open up with a little bit about you and your background and how you got to be here today. And then we're going to dive into all the different facets of you. But I'd love you just to, let our listeners know a little bit about who you are and how you got here today.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, it's an honor to be here. Wow, technology, right? I can see most of us are 70s and 80s babies, right? So we grew up on BMX bikes and newspapers and magazines and like I like in high school, I learned how to type on a typewriter, right? And so my journey, I was raised in Tumalo, Oregon, this little nondescript town outside of Bend, Oregon. And my journey in started out in life with horses and cows and 4-H and and then I entered the world of real estate, started framing homes, and for the past 25 years, my first 25 years of entrepreneurship, right outside of college, it was all real estate development. It was sticks and stones and bricks, right, and building homes, and and along the journey, like so many of us, there was the childhood traumas and there were the things that drove me to trying to numb the internal realities of life. So I got sober 18 years ago.
Okay.
And that journey into sobriety, it was the foundation of the first like transformational aspect of my life. And that was like making a conscious decision to stop doing something that was in every level of my being ruining my life, right? And in my first few years of sobriety, it was like for so many, it was I was lost. Like I was an entrepreneur, but my inner world was just this implosion of trying to understand like how do I show up in the world? The old me is dying and the new me that I'm trying to understand how to communicate and live with, it isn't quite sure even how to blossom. And I was challenged to go to yoga. And so in this environment that I grew up in Tumalo, Oregon, with horses and boots and spurs and Wrangler jeans and all the things, and that man in me was like, yoga is not for guys like me. Okay. And so because I'm also this person who doesn't understand how to step into anything softly, I just dive in head first. My first yoga class was an hour and a half vinyasa class that I went in there, you guys, and I got obliterated. I was so exhausted, right? Like the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
And and yet the teacher, like in Shavasana, the teacher, and she's still a dear friend of mine, but she said something that in Shavasana, the tears just started rolling out of my face. And for the first time, like I felt my heart open, right? And that calling in early in my sobriety, it opened this door to curiosity. And and I found myself going to yoga 5 days a week. And that journey, I mean, right out of the gates, like it was just like, it was like my first class, and I was so like empowered by breath and movement and the message that I was just downloading with every class. And as my, first couple years of yoga unfolded, all of a sudden I'm going to retreats and I'm going to weekend workshops. And then I'm beginning to dive into meditation, and I'm learning how to sit with myself. And I'm like, there's a lot of stuff up here that we need to work with, right? And so yoga, meditation, and I get this email. I think it was no, it was a text, because now I've moved from the typewriter and newspaper to text and
The
email,
phone.
right? And I get this text from this yoga teacher, and she's like, "My friend's coming to do breath work on Thursday. You should go." Because the journey had already like started to open my heart and settle the sands of like inner distrust, I didn't even question it. I just went. And the class was offered by a friend of mine, John Paul Crimi. It was a transformational breathwork class. I didn't do any research. I didn't ask how it worked. I just went.
Mhm.
It was probably the most transformational, like trauma releasing experience I'd ever had in that, 5, 6 year healing journey so far. I'm laying on that floor at the end of the class. And I mean, like, just soaked with tears, overwhelmed with this feeling of love and gratitude. And that kind of cement, like, for me, like yoga was sobriety was a foundation. Yoga was the first stepping stone. Meditation was the next stepping stone. And then breath work, like it it crystallized that for me in my inner being, like this healing journey is real. And the work we do to heal those old stories and those old wounds and those old traumas, it matters. And so breath work became like it became my thing. And I did it like
Wow.
my morning practice after that first night was I was up at 3:30 a.m. every morning, breath work first, then meditation, then journaling, then driving 20 minutes to yoga and doing my yoga, then coming home, jumping in the shower, and then going and building custom homes. And that was just like my life for like 4 years. So, to get like from that point, like I knew that my healing journey was a part of my story for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And as I moved forward into all of the challenges that we all face in building businesses and doing all the things, and so much what I love about what you're doing now, Camille, is like I hit that midlife point.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you guys, like I hit this midlife point. I'm deeply invested in high-end custom home building in Bend, Oregon. I'd stubbed my toe a couple times along the way, but COVID happened.
Oh,
COVID happened. And it was like, yeah, and it was like it was like, for whatever reason, like it initiated this next cataclysmic disintegration of mass and stories that I was telling myself and how I was showing up in the world. And I just stopped. I just stopped everything. Like I stopped my home building company. I stepped out of a relationship and I went on this 28,000-mile road trip by myself. I drove to the most remotest corners of the Western United States, Baja, Mexico, every dirt road I could find. And what I discovered was I was just leaving these stories, these masks of how I used to show up in the world and discovering like this authentic truth that was becoming like the North Star about how I wanted to show up and who I wanted to be in the world authentically, originally, and truthfully. And so, part of the journey is like for so many of us is this is almost like this initiation into the healing world of the magic of finding our truth. And so, yeah, so that's how I got here.
That's
I
the
got here by
beginning.
doing a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
That's incredible. You like when you did you have you written a book?
It's funny you asked that. Yes, so I started writing a book. So I didn't start it, I finished it. And what's really
Okay.
fun is I have this book. It's kind of like my story up until I met technology, right? Like it's my
Okay.
story. Oh, it's this whole healing journey. It's called a hard road back road healing memoir. And yes, the book is done. I haven't published it yet.
Okay. I just want to say because as you were saying the story, I kept picturing like Michael Singer the first time I read Untethered Soul
Yes.
and how he was going through this journey of awakening. And I was a little jealous. And I'm like, I want to do that. That's so cool. And I was listening to you the exact same way, going, wow, no yoga class has ever done that to me. No breath work has ever really brought out all of that. So just an
Mm.
incredible opening.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I have a follow-up question with so Cameron, you said you told us this beautiful story of like, and that in your whole memoir is about that story. And then I'm like, okay, now you have an intelligence company. It's like, where is that come in
Oh,
to the story? Like, this is awesome. Like it's because I guess I see that you know, of course you're the person to do it because it's so influenced by so much truth, so much love, authenticity. But I'd love to know like that chapter.
yeah. So I'll digress just for a moment.
Yeah, please.
One of my biggest life passions, like one of the things that has brought the most meaning to me in my life, is fly fishing and whitewater rafting.
Hmm.
And so when I walked away from this old life in Bend, Oregon, I became a premier backcountry multi-day whitewater rafting and fly fishing guide for some of the most influential people in the world in Idaho on the Middle Fork of the Salmon River. And so I spent 4 years in the backcountry, 4 summers in the backcountry as a head guide for this particular amazing outfitting company. And I met amazing entrepreneurs and really inspiring individuals that I got to spend, day after day in my boat, floating down some wild whitewater, catching fish all day long. And when that journey was over, my last season, I was 49. I'd been working 16, 18 hours a day, 50 days straight in the backcountry with a bunch of 25 and 30-year-olds who were just working circles around me. You guys, like I was tired, and it was like, you know, my mom always said, like, go do what you're passionate about. Like do what you love. And what I realized, like, we can do that. We can go out and chase our passion and do what we love, but it will still become a job sometimes.
Yeah.
And right. And it's there's nothing wrong with having a job, but sometimes a job overrides the joy of doing what we love and what we're passionate about. Like it became it's the hardest job I ever had. And so I come out of the backcountry and I had just fallen in love with this amazing human, this just magical medicine woman. And I moved to Portland, Oregon. And what I knew then, what I knew at that point in my journey was, it's like I was done being a home builder. I had become very good at it, but I realized that for as many times as I told myself it was my purpose and my passion, I realized it wasn't. And I loved backcountry guiding and floating big rivers and sharing this, truly unique once in a lifetime experience for so many people in the backcountry doing what we did, the service we offered at the caliber that we did it. But I realized that like my life path there, I was done. Right. And so I moved into Portland and I remember sitting on the couch. My partner had just started working for Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi's partnership at mastermind.com. And so she was becoming this world-class salesperson. And I'm in the house trying to figure out like, what is my next path in life? Like, what do I want to do? Like, knowing that if I can be honest, like I knew that I had found my aligned truth. Like there were certain non-negotiables that I was not willing to veer from, right? And and so part of that for me was if I ever started another company, if I ever in my 25 years of entrepreneurship, everything I did, I had excelled at personally, but I, the new goal in life was to be of service to the greatest good. And so I'm sitting in the corner on the couch, looking out the window. I'm not gonna lie, I had tears rolling down my eyes. Like, what am I gonna do? What is this? What is this new calling in life? How's this gonna unfold? And I'm scrolling through my phone. I'm looking at Instagram. I'm like, oh God, Instagram. And I see this reel of Gary Vaynerchuk, right? And the reel was, and it changed my life. The reel was, if you're not investing 2 hours every day into AI, in 2 years, you're going to be a typewriter. Now,
What year are we talking about right now?
2 years ago, so 24.
Two years ago. Okay, 24. Okay.
And I had no experience in AI, zero, other than being angry when I went to Chase Bank or United Airlines to book a flight. I'm trying to use the 2023, 2024 chat box, right?
Okay.
And so I see this reel from Gary Vee, and I'm like, I grew up using a typewriter. I'm 50 years old almost. I don't want to be a typewriter in 2 years. I got to figure out what the next. So I go to AI, I go to OpenAI, I open up ChatGPT, and I'm going to be honest. The first thing I put was, my name's Cameron Scott. I'm 17 years sober. I'm a 25-year high-end backcountry guide. I'm a certified breathwork coach, life coach, and a lot. And in this life coaching environment, how can I create a product that will completely disrupt the online coaching industry? That was my first.
That's a hell of a first question, by the way.
That was the very first thing that I put in there. And obviously it like I dove into this rabbit hole. And what I uncovered is this system, because the first thing I realized was, like, coming from the heart, Chat GPT 3.0 2 years ago, it was like we were getting downloaded with almost like text speak. Like,
yeah.
It was like, you remember, it was like very, yeah. Like it is not what it is today.
Yeah.
And the first thing that kind of unfolded for me, like the first feeling I had is I'm in this rabbit hole of discovering, like, wow, I can be of service to the greatest good and build a really amazing coaching platform with harnessing the power of AI and doing all of these other nuances to build a one of a kind product that so many people are bringing online today. But then I asked myself, wait a minute. What if I did this for all the coaches in the marketplace? How would that change this product, right? And lo and behold, EQAI became my life's mission. And it actually started out as Ascension Intelligence. And the concept behind it was to bring emotional intelligence to the coaching marketplace in a way that allows those people helping people, looking for the people they need to help them, clients, right? Our coaches, clients, helping them feel felt, seen, and heard from the very first touch point. And that is how I found this world of technology.
So are you coding it? Or are you holding the business plan? Like, how does someone with none of that experience? One, the idea is great. I understand being the visionary. How does it get implemented once you have this idea? And
yeah, great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't code my way out of a brown paper bag.
Yeah. Most of us can't.
Right? So I started my Cameron Scott coaching after, breathwork certification and life coach certification in 2017.
Okay.
At the same time that I was
Were you still building at that time?
So at the same
Okay,
time,
so I'm just trying to get the timeline for our listeners.
totally.
Okay.
So I'm
Yes.
building like 9 high-end custom homes in the most
Okay.
premium communities in Bend, Oregon.
And then you were life coaching and breath working at night.
And then I'm life coaching and breath working in every free hour in between because I already knew like I wanted to start to move out of building,
Perfect. I love
right?
hearing this for all our soul professionals that have these side gigs.
It's not easy.
No,
It's
and
not,
this is how you have to do it. It's an important step. That's why I wanted to talk about it.
it takes massive sacrifice.
Yes, absolutely does.
And so I had already created like, I had branding and marketing professionals doing all my content creation, my website building, and so I had some contacts,
Okay.
right? And
Yes.
like I said, then COVID happened. Then COVID happened. And it was
Okay.
like what I realized to digress again for a moment, like, yes, I was providing a service as a men's life coach, helping men kind of, find their truths, find that create the questions to go in search of the answers for transformational change.
Okay.
And COVID happened. And for whatever reason, like COVID was this big disruptor in my life in terms of like, yeah, I'm helping. I've made massive progress in my healing journey, but there's a couple things that I'm addressing, I'm helping others address that
Mhm.
I haven't quite looked at in myself,
Yeah.
right? While at the same time realizing like, wow, for so many, my construction company was Aline Construction. And Aline was this ancient Aztec, it derives from this ancient Aztec word that means to move forward with all your heart, to be full of purpose, to be full of passion. And so my slogan for my home building company was building dream homes with heart, passion, and purpose. And yet every
Mm.
time I drove away from one of these homes, I did not feel that. And what it was for me and what I was understanding was is that like I was being called to something greater and I had to let go of I just had to let go of all of it. So I shut the coaching company down. I shut the home building down.
Oh, I see. But let me ask you, when you started your home building, because I love the tagline, did it at one time fill your heart?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I think it's important to point out that I think we all have purpose, but it changes over our time and decades. What I always tell my clients is we express it differently in the world, but we
Yeah.
have the same calling,
Yeah.
but we
It,
change the way we express it in the world as we
absolutely.
reinvent. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's like,
Fabulous.
um, and I think we learn on the healing journey, like nothing's static,
Oh,
right?
no.
This is our entire life, our entrepreneurial journey, our vision, our love for self, our love for product. It is constantly this dynamic, changing environment.
Hmm.
And we so often, we're so afraid of failure. We're so afraid of quitting. We're so afraid of like these big cataclysmic changes that come to our lives that we almost like we brace against the change by continuing to do the same thing we've always done while getting unhappier and unhappier doing the same thing. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it was like I was at that point where it was like I could no longer wear these masks and look in the mirror and know that I was showing up authentically. Something was missing. There was a gap between like what I was defining as passion and what I felt I was being called to go on this journey to discover. Coherence, conscious
Coherence.
awareness,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Understood.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, Cameron, would love to build on that. What you're talking about regarding that emotional connection, for building that for coaches and using AI is pretty fascinating to me. Because in a way, I'm a coach and a consultant, so think it's a interesting take on how to bring the human connection to technology. So I'm kind of curious your thoughts, if you may expand upon that. How do you foresee emotional intelligence sort of expanding the possibilities for AI and where the human journey is going right now? Like, is there
a positive future for us.
Yeah. Um, there's so much weight in what is going on in the world with AI right now, right?
Mm.
And part of, so when I made this commitment, when I was like, wow, I can create a team and build a product that helps coaches connect with their clients. I'll call it at scale, but we need to use that word carefully because scale has a tricky nomenclature behind it. It's got a quirky ideation behind it to where when we think scale, we go from making $100,000 a year to making $100 billion a year, right? And so our our desire as coaches is to help as many people as we can using the technologies that are at our disposal to generate as much revenue as we can at the same time, right? So when I first got involved with AI and all of a sudden my Instagram reels are now it had moved from the wildest whitewater in the West and the biggest fish around the world to AI and having no experience in it, like most of what was coming into my feed early in my AI journey was AI is going to ruin the world. And so, I'm sitting in meditation every morning, like, how can I consciously, coherently get involved with something that I'm being told is going to ruin the world?
Well, people don't like change,
They don't
any change.
like change, right? People definitely do not like change. And I don't know that there was too many people 150 years ago when they moved from horses to the steam train was like, I can't wait to sell all my horses and ride on a train.
Yeah,
I can't. Same with
exactly.
the steam
Yep.
automobile do you see what I mean? Like technology, whether it was from the horse to the wheel to the wheel to the steam to the steam to the engine to electric vehicle,
Absolutely.
there's always been a percentage of what is fed to us in the change of automation and the change of technology that is, we know right now media drives fear. So
Right.
I had to, Adam, to your question, like I had to put my blinders on, right? And I had to ask myself, like, first and foremost, no matter what we bring to the world as entrepreneurs, we're only going to, we're only a small percentage of the marketplace is going to hear us. And so when we bring something to the marketplace, and my desire in creating something to be of service to the greatest good is choice, right? So choice, do I make the choice to listen to that AI is going to ruin the world and let that be how I relate to it? Or do I create something that allows people to see that they have a choice, right? So emotional intelligence in AI right now is first and foremost how we relate to it emotionally and intelligently. Like we have a choice. We can listen to the media and we can say, "Oh, it's going to ruin the world. It's no good for humanity." While at the same token, seeing that in my experience and what we're bringing to market here fairly shortly, like by building things consciously, coherently, in alignment with right, what we know the marketplace needs to 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 harness transformation at scale. The world is suffering right now. People are stuck and struggling, and clients are looking for transformational experiences. And so, from an emotional intelligence standpoint, EQAI is bringing um, multiple facets at the MVP level that allow coaches to deliver a product that offers clients an opportunity to feel felt, seen, and heard. And so, the and how are we doing that, right? So how are we doing that? The first product we're delivering is emotionally intelligent assessment engine. And what that does is it allows a client to come to our website and be met with a personalized branded AI partner that speaks your brand, your voice, your tonality, but through your funnel, through your offers, that is going to be tagged so that when they hit the your chat box or your dialog box, like it's going to drive them through a series of questions that delivers a document, a PDF to them that is your offering, but it's given to them based on how they answered questions. That it literally is like this emotional blueprint that offers the exact transformational map for their journey with that coach's offering. Doesn't matter what it is, health, wealth, life, business.
So I'm trying to understand and to help our listeners understand as well. So it sounds like you're creating almost like a chat bot that's AI sensitive to the coach,
Yeah.
right? It's in
I
their
call it an AI
voice.
partner. I call it an AI
AI
partner.
partner. Yeah, I've heard buddy. Yeah. So it's mirroring the coach of the person and talking to the potential client
Yeah.
like it's you.
Yep. So, and what we're doing here, like, you know, the objective behind this technology is to empower human connection. So, what we're seeing a lot right now is this clone technology, right? And so, you know, there's some high ticket coaches out there that are using cloning to where basically, like, you just go online and you speak to the let's just call it like, you know, high ticket coach AI. And so that product is literally cloning that coach.
Right.
EQ, I'm not a proponent of clone technology. I do
Okay.
not believe AI, I do not believe that the best use of AI is to clone us as humans. It is to amplify our impact in our communities so that we have clear reach, um, the ability to communicate at a broader level at the first touch points of the relationship. To digress, when I was doing coaching in 2017 through 2020, I had to set aside like 10 hours a week to do 10 discovery calls. And of those 10 discovery calls, I would probably book 15 to 20% of those clients.
Right.
Right? So what we're doing here is there's certain touch points within the coaching journey that we can automate to build rapport, offer this unique assessment that delivers like that client's transformational journey so that when they read it, they're like, I actually see this, I feel it, I actually want to book the call. And now what
Mm.
happens is when the client books the call with the coach has the assessment in his dashboard, the client has the assessment. When they book, the coach knows exactly what the challenges, objectives, things that that client is looking to overcome in that relationship with the coach, and the client knows exactly what the coach has to offer. So what did we just do? We just greatly increased the odds of increased retention by empowering human connection right from the very first touch point.
Right.
Mm.
Right. And so when we talk about you know, one of the tags in EQI is where intelligence meets empathy. Right. And what that really means is like the world of AI and intelligence is so vast. It's so amazing. Like we can get so much information so fast, but it's us as humans who have to embody and hold the torch of empathy so that when we connect directly in this online marketplace, which is where we're growing our businesses, we get to do it with love and kindness and compassion and intelligence so that we are literally meeting that client right where they're at. Small talk is great, but
Mhm.
transformational communication is what drives our revenue engines to scale. Does that make sense?
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's amazing, Cameron, what what you're doing so quickly on, because as a coach, I mean, like when someone's seeking a transformation, like they're looking everywhere and want something right away. And the fact that you can basically have someone feel seen and heard just from going to your website, I can see how that will definitely create increased conversion. And so I also love how it's like going hand in hand with artificial intelligence. Because I mean, I was probably like most people, and I was definitely thinking that AI was going to ruin the world. And and I was like, oh my God, what are we doing? And so I guess I'm really curious, about how as humanity, how can we like use AI as a as a tool as opposed to you know I guess this doom and gloom thing that's gonna what do we well, because I feel like we're at this intersection. I mean, I don't know if you guys heard about like those like that Reddit with chatbots, and where
Yeah.
have you heard that, like where they like created this own language, and then they're
Yep.
like not letting humans in, and I'm like, okay, so I think there is some concern that we have to talk about, that like, okay, like there is artificial intelligence does have that capacity. So like, what is our role? What is our responsibility to make sure that it goes to coherence, that it goes into the light, and that, I mean, we don't blow ourselves up like we did in Atlantis, if that's something that we subscribe to.
Oh, well done. I'm
Yeah,
literally reading. I mean, like every night I go to bed, like I read one of the Emerald Tablets in Toth,
yeah.
and like, you know, humanity. And I say this cautiously, like humanity has a repetitious cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is really powerful technology. This is, uh, mm, so we're calling it artificial intelligence right now, right? I mean, that's AI. I actually feel how we relate to it, and those of us in this spiritual container, especially, like to me, what we get to experience here is actually a universal intelligence. Okay. There is deep, deep, deep wisdom in what we can receive and how we approach using AI as it is today. And and so as humans I got to do this. I got to do this presentation last week in the spiritual community, and like we have to make a choice, and collectively. So, from a consciousness standpoint, in this spiritual entrepreneurial container, the EQI is basically built to deliver an outstanding product to, I made a choice to relate to it from my heart, to offer something that allowed us to present ourselves in this spiritual entrepreneurial container, harnessing the power of the most future facing technologies in the marketplace right now to be of service to the greatest good. Right. So that choice now, if I'm the only one that makes that choice relative to the news feeds that we're seeing that AI is going to ruin the world, I probably don't have a strong chance of turning the tide. Right. If we make the conscious choice to use a technology that right now the weight is balanced, this is a new technology. Maybe 5% of the world is using it right now. Maybe 90% of our feeds is the way media is portraying it to get more clicks, right? But if consciously, collectively, we make a decision that this technology can actually change the world for the best. It has the potential to give us the recipe for free energy, to fix our water crisis. Like, all the while hearing what data centers are doing to water, right? Like, there is this nuance right now that it's about choice and how we relate to a technology that it is powerful, and yet if you don't use it, you don't know. And so in this online industry, as entrepreneurs trying to, it would it wouldn't matter if we were still in newspapers and magazine print, but we're not. Everything is online right now. So in order to reach the widest marketplace, we have to use the most relevant technology. And how we approach AI and interact with it daily, like that's our choice, right? And so what we want to try to do collectively is relate with this technology in a way that drives the greatest transformational impact for the people looking for help. Because everywhere I go, and I'm sure you guys see this little 3x5 thing in our hand, however that wherever it is, right? That little 3x5 thing in our hand, no matter where you go, everybody is looking for the solution to their problem in this technology. While at the same time, all of what we're offering to the world, whether it's, conscious entrepreneurship, marketing our books, right? Like marketing our product, marketing ourselves, that is also at their fingertips. And so there's this relationship that we have to try to make a conscious decision. Am I going to connect with it to be of service to the greatest good? Or am I going to let it pass me by because I'm afraid to use it?
Cameron, yeah, I have a question. How does your particular AI, how is it trained that it's so different and consciously speaking than other AI models out there? Like, are you training it to be that way and to respond that way?
So basically what we're doing right now, EQAI is being built to become what is called the EQ operating system, the emotionally intelligent operating system, designed specifically for this online service industry to integrate these future-facing fragmented technologies so that we can build our businesses and scale. So at the foundational level, what's happening right now inside of EQAI as we come to market with our MVP here in the actually next 45 days, by April 1st, we're onboarding our first cohort of coaches, is at the foundational level, what we're doing is we are training it to speak, to communicate in an overall empathetic, kind, compassionate way to every traveler it meets.
And is it specific to each coach? Are they training it, or are you just training a large model?
Well, what we're doing right now is I'm going to call it a small model, right?
Okay.
Right now, what we're doing is we're training a specialized small language model that is the
Okay.
foundational framework for what will become our empathy language model,
Your model. Okay, I see.
our own model. But at the MVP level, what it is it's trained in our environment such that it lays on top of ChatGPT, Grok, whatever it is, whatever LLM you want to use. And inside of our system, that framework is established. And then as a coach, whatever it is you do in this online service industry, you come in and you upload into our environment, into our dashboard, into your private dashboard, all of your marketing information, all of your company information, all of your data that allows your specific AI partner then to
Okay.
speak.
So
And
each person makes their own GPT,
yep,
which like I did for my company. Okay. I
yep,
get it.
exactly
Yeah.
inside your yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
From there, like that is the foundational framework that then you go in and you create so you'll go in and you like, I'll just do a quick snapshot. Like you'll come into the system, you'll upload all of your training data, information, books, all of the stuff. It's endless what you can put in there, right? And that trains your AI partner. And then you go in and you tailor your plan. So let's say you offer Camille, you have a very wide array of products. So you would go in and you would create your plans within the platform. Then you create an assessment for each plan. And that assessment is basically a question and answer product that is either single select, multi-select, text input. And now what happens is when you're marketing, and your initial marketing engine drives a client to that product, it's tagged so that when they come in to have the conversation to meet your AI partner, it literally drives them to the assessment for the transformational journey that you are marketing in that product. Now they get this assessment that's like, welcome to, and I'll just use like my coaching, Cameron Scott coaching. And it will identify how they base those answers to make them feel felt, seen, and heard. And then it will offer the best plan within my my portfolio of offerings, and then invite them to book a call or press the next call to action button. So now we're driving clients into my calendar that already know exactly what we're talking about, what the best plan is for them. And then you'll have your coach dashboard, which will show all of your metrics in terms of, new clients, total income, meetings scheduled, Zoom, all of your meeting notes scheduled for both client and coach. So it's like this ecosystem that once the coach is onboarded and your clients are onboarded, there's an immediate ROI on a daily basis to show clients how their assignments that are completed, next meetings, meeting notes, transformational badges. So that's the client acquisition part, onboarding and acquisition. Then we'll have your AI partner will do like follow-ups. It'll say like, oh, Camille, you missed the meeting last Thursday. Is everything okay? Do you want to rebook that call or connect with the coach? Right? So these retention metrics that we're putting in there to make sure that nobody gets left behind.
Gotcha.
And then scaling through the value ladder. When somebody finishes or is getting close to finishing a portion of your product, that AI partner will start to check in and be like, and you're still meeting with your clients. What we're trying to do is automate administrative tasks so that as coaches, we have more time to connect human to human. Whether it's in webinars, whether it's in your group cohorts, whether it's one-on-one, because, for me in my journey, like true transformation happens when I connect with humans. It happens when I'm engaged heart to heart, soul to soul, mind to mind with humans. That's where my biggest transformations have come along. In today's environment, we can use technology to shave hours off of our week in dealing with back-end administrative tasks and being a solopreneur and being a coach, such that we can have more time to impact and connect with our clients.
Adam, I'm going to let you jump in, but I just want to say this one thing before you do, because I know that you want to say something and it's going to be awesome. But I just want to say that like that's awesome, because I know that like we can automate these things like through like, like we can go behind in our CRM, and then we can like be like, okay, after 3 days, do this. Okay, and it's kind of annoying because like every time you get a new client or you have create a new offer, you have to basically like tailor that and you have to go into the back system. So I love the fact that you don't actually have to, like your AI basically does it for you, and it's like going in and just like doing that touch point of the client journey, which is super important. Like, I mean, I just have to I just have to follow up on another client today and say some points, and it's just like it's an annoying thing that I have to do. That like, I mean, it would be
We
great
have to do it.
Yeah, we have to do it because it's like it's about the client journey, right? And I mean, it would. So anyway, so passing it over to you, Adam, because I know you got something awesome to say. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you I agree, Adam G. The fantastic what you're doing, Cameron. I am kind of curious though. So for me, just to put things into perspective, your story really resonates because your breath work was such a pivotal pillar in your life from what I'm hearing, and a tool for you. Whereas, like, from my experiences, I use the Akashic Records in a similar sort of
Cool.
functional tool. How are you finding sort of breath work? And if I heard you, it seemed to had a very huge impact on you. How is that sort of leading your development in your business or where you're going with it, since it seems to play such a pivotal role for you?
Yeah. Great question. Breathwork taught me how out of coherence I was. And I didn't know it then. I didn't know, but as my journey with breath work and moving forward in life and connecting with such amazing spiritually gifted healers, humans, visionaries, like as my breathwork journey has unfolded and I've shared it more and more, the more I've taught it, the more I realized when I started it how I operated from a consistent state of incoherence, right? And obviously, like coherence is what coherence has become for me. We can How do I say this? Like breathwork taught me how out of balance and out of coherence I was. And as I've moved forward, like, and I've found this, I've stepped into my authentic voice and my truths in alignment with like how I want to show up in the world. So, like, we can move forward in this marketplace in alignment, like we're doing the thing, we're embodying heart, passion, purpose, we're in alignment. But coherence is almost like it's like there's multiple dimensions how coherence shows up. It can show up individually, it can show up in our business, it can show up in how our business impacts our life, our relationships. So it's almost like the coherence aspect to me is like you can play guitar, and if one note slightly out of tune, right? It's a little it's out of sync, it's out of harmony, right? And so breath work, when I'm consistently like when I first started breathwork, it was like transformational breathwork, deep breathing into the belly, massive releases. Now breathwork is like it's retuning the incoherence, however subtle it might be or major it might be, with just breath, with just slowing down and being aware and pausing in these moments of overwhelm in the decisions we make in our businesses, the impact that some of those decisions have in our lives, because they were made in an incoherent moment while we might have been in a state of incoherence. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So, you had mentioned earlier, do you only work with men? Do you work with everybody? Because I know in your private coaching work, you work with founders too.
Yeah, no, so when I was doing coaching 2017 to 2020, I was a men's coach.
Oh, okay,
That's
okay.
like how my journey unfolded. Now this journey is all about humanity. This is about my brothers and my sisters and this family of all of us that are just, I'm here to be of service in any way that I can, any way, shape, and form. And all the while, getting ready to deliver a product here with EQAI that,
Are you still doing the coaching,
yeah. So Cameron
or is
Scott,
everything okay?
yep, Cameron Scott, but it's kind of like a different. It's funny. I started Cameron Scott coaching website up again to be the test dummy for EQAI.
Okay.
So you can actually go, yeah, totally, and it's unfolding, right?
I've
Like
been on it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's unfolding naturally. It's unfolding organically because, like, I shared with Adam G last week, like this coherence codex that I built,
Hmm.
and I'm using my site has become my Cameron Scott coaching site actually has the first live EQAI assessment up and running.
Okay.
Okay. And so I'm using it now to like test run and test our system to make sure that the delivery of the assessment, which is the differentiator in the marketplace right now for this product as we come online with our MVP, works like flawlessly. And
Gotcha.
from there, then 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 I can know with confidence that we can integrate it into everybody else's website. And so yeah, both CEO and founder at EQAI, and here to be of service in any way I can as a founder on this journey of harnessing the power of tech and coherence and overwhelm at Cameron Scott Coaching.
Awesome. So Cameron, I'm going to ask you one final question before we let everyone know how to get in touch with you. But you just told us cameronscottcoaching.com. There's also another link I think they can find you at. But we like to ask this question wrapping up, and it's about being a soul professional. And we feel that a soul professional is this individual that brings that intuition as well as logic and bringing it into the world and really seeing business as this force for good in this world. So for us, or for you, my question is, what do you feel a soul professional's responsibility is in today's day and age for making that change?
Great questions. To be in this spiritual entrepreneurial container right now, it requires us actually to do it as consciously and coherently as we can, because there's so much overwhelm out there. I feel like it's our job in this container AI is changing the marketplace. AI is changing the way we do business. And we can get so caught up in the idea of the speed of it that it actually creates disharmony between what we're really out here to do and what it's telling us we can do. So I really feel like as a soul professional right now, like we have to kind of pump the brakes a little bit and slow down, right? And let the intelligence give us the information we need while still humanizing the journey. Our clients, however they come to us, are typically coming to us in overwhelm. They're coming to us like looking for solutions to problems, wherever it might be in their entrepreneurial journey, their relationship journey, their whatever it is. And so we have to allow ourselves with the speed of intelligence and the compassion of the heart to use these things in a way that allows our clients to breathe and embody the transformation of whatever services we're providing, such that it integrates, so that they can embody it. Because there's no race to the finish line. There's no matter how much work we do as soul professionals in this container, there's always more work to do, right? So pump the brakes a little bit, slow down as we're, the world seems like it's spinning faster and faster every day. And so it's our job to kind of take a deep breath, use this technology for the greatest good, use it with the greatest and purest intentions, and connect with our clients using the intelligence that we have, but meeting them with empathy and kindness and compassion for where they're at on their journey, and doing it with human to human connection.
Beautiful, Cameron. Thank you so much for that. And how can we get a hold of you?
Yeah, so a couple ways. If you're interested in learning more about EQAI, our website is up, it's live. Our AI partner is there. You can meet Q. We named Q after James Bond. He's this quirky, fun, he knows everything about intelligence and how to help you with your business. That's at www.eqintelligenceai.com. And then to connect with me personally, here to help in any way on your journey is at cameronscottcoaching.com.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of our show today.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. I'm so grateful to spend the afternoon with all of you, or the evening, or the early morning, depending on where y'all at. I love this global community. That's what makes this technology so amazing.
Yeah. Thank you,
Well,
Cameron.
thank
You.
you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for this very special episode of the Soul Professional Podcast, part of the Soul Professional Global Conversation Series. If today's dialogue sparked something for you, we invite you to continue the conversation by subscribing, sharing this episode, or connecting with us at the Soul Professional community. Go to soul professional.com and join us for free events, business, soul circles, healing circles. It's all an open access community that is community supported for you. This series is an open invitation to explore, question, and expand together. Until next time, stay curious, stay conscious, and stay connected.